Remember a couple of days ago when Xbox did the layoffs and I said, it's pretty clear that Bethesda has lost control over its IPs and now Xbox is telling them what to do and they have no right to disagree? And people called me an idiot? Where's your source? My source is I made it the F up. And now everyone's pretty much now reporting this because obvious things were seemingly not obvious enough. Anyway, welcome to the channel where we decide what's gonna be the news before everyone else. In any case, glorious day. Everyone's starting to admit that Bethesda has lost control of its IP, which can only be a good thing. And boys, as always, remember, the next thing is Todd Howard's gonna get fired, or replaced, or just magically vanish from the scene. Honestly, he has pretty much already vanished from the scene as far as I'm concerned, so the next step is getting fired, in fact. I cannot wait for that announcement.
So the gaming industry just kind of sucks right now. Like there's very little good news anywhere. So I decided to
The gaming industry is in the best state it has been in years. These layoffs, the only thing I have negative to say about them is it's not enough. We need more. I want more. These are rookie numbers, I tell you. Oh my god, we could do so much better. There are so many people that deserve firing. Most of these companies pretty much should be 95% fired, and that's it. Honestly, best day of my life. I know the bar's pretty low on that one, but still.
make a video where I just make it worse. Where I just add a cherry on top. I'm sorry. I want to talk about the Elder Scrolls. I want to talk about Fallout. I want to talk about BGS and all of this happening in the background and what I think it means for the franchises that you and I know and love and have been thoroughly intrigued by for many years. Because one of my most anticipated games of the next like 5 years is the Elder Scrolls 6. Not because I think it's going to be like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, because I personally don't expect that, but rather because I am fast.
Setting the bar low, I like it. Luke Steffens, friend of the channel, he only sometimes takes bribes from companies from games he doesn't play to say that they're great.
Fascinated by how this is going to play out. I am so curious whether they take learnings from like Starfield and Fallout 76 and everything and actually apply that to make the game really better, or if it's just going to be Starfield with swords. Like, I'm so curious.
It's gonna be worse than Starfield with swords. Have you considered that, maybe?
want to know, right? I'm so curious. But a lot of stuff has happened in the last week or two.
Okay, boys, Elder Scrolls 6 prediction time. There's gonna be a quest where you have to use a magic to change the gender of someone. Huh? Doesn't that sound exactly what you want in your Elder Scrolls game? Doesn't that sound exactly perfect for modern day gaming? I like it. I like it.
With Bethesda Game Studios in general, but also Xbox more broadly with ZeniMax and everything else. And I think it heavily suggests that the game we were going to get a week ago is not the game we're going to get in 2028, 2029. I think that Asha Sharma has stepped in a way that Phil Spencer never did. And she is...
Oh, they're gonna rush it out. They're effectively rushing it out 100% at this point. Elder Scrolls 6, in my opinion, has barely been started. Because this trailer is, for example, fake. A lot of people are saying, a lot of people do think, and they mention it in the comments when we talk about it, is the fact that this was probably just to prop up share prices. Honestly, could be. But the reason why I say personally this trailer is fake and obviously fake is look at the scale of it, okay? This is a castle, okay? This is like trees. Do you understand how absolute this castle is more massive than any city we have seen in a game? It's pretty big, okay? These mountains are pretty much the size of a GTA map in that case. Like the scale, nothing here makes any sense. You would have to be like a tiny dot on this map if you were a playable character. And it's empty. So that's why I think that this is fake. Also, this thing might as well be the deepest hole in the world because yeah, it's really deep.
I think that Asha Sharma has stepped in place, I guess, position within all of these discussions. Phil Spencer's general attitude seemingly was to go hands off, let teams do whatever they want to do, and just hope it works out. That doesn't seem to be Asha Sharma's approach. She seems very on top of it, very aggressive, and very in the weeds. And that also means that she's paying very close attention to social media.
None of these things he, by the way, just stated can be corroborated by her actions. This is guesswork.
In fact, one of the most common complaints from investors so far about her is that she seems too in tune with online discourse about Xbox and the brand and everything else. And as part of that, she has no doubt
I really doubt that.
seen all of the demands for more Fallout games, how people think it's ridiculous that it's been 15 years since Skyrim came out and there's pretty much nothing new to talk about when it comes to Elder Scrolls. Or how
Wait, can we talk about how absolutely poorly designed the first dragon fight in the Elder Scrolls Skyrim is? This is like easily one of the worst fights in gaming history. This honestly beats the Deathclaw fight in Fallout 4, where you just get the late game everything and then you get to kill a Deathclaw like it's nothing. Because in this fight, which is, roughly like an hour in from gameplay, an hour and a half, let's say, for the average person, maybe two. This fight is you against the pinnacle ultimate predator of this world, and if you're playing mage, your only abilities is exactly this. And it takes a while, trust me when I say this. It takes a while to kill the dragon. Maybe on easy difficulty or something it's fine, but I played on the hardest difficulty, if there was a difficulty setting. I don't even remember that. And it took a while, okay? It took a while.
to Elder Scrolls, or how they've had a tremendously successful Fallout TV show and they have had basically nothing to show for it except for the Fallout 4 anniversary update, which broke freaking VATs, and it took them, I'm not joking, 19 months to fix. She's not stupid.
Well, for Bethesda, that's actually pretty much a next day fix, honestly.
She knows that that's insane and that there is something structurally and like functionally wrong with.
She oversaw Microsoft's Copilot, a program that literally deletes people's files without asking. I don't think she understands these things, honestly.
BGS with how they're managing these IP, and she seemingly is done with it. As we just saw in the report from Jason Schreier, which just dropped on July 8th, where he described how Bethesda is seemingly...
Wait. What are our current opinions on Asha Sharma being, I don't know, three-letter agency plant at this point? Because it's like, dude, it is undoubtable at this point. Finishes a pretty prestigious college, not one of the biggest, has no work experiences, literally does the classic Vomit move of, I actually have no idea what I want to do in life, so gonna go in marketing, goes into marketing, does nothing, instantaneously gets promoted. And then right off of there, she's now suddenly the head of fucking Xbox Gaming. After, doing nothing for the AI division for Microsoft. And now, by the way, if you did not hear, Ash Sharma has literally been selected to effectively work under Trump to a certain degree by managing the Federal Reserve. I mean, I'm not saying she's glowing, but I mean, she's brighter than a glow stick at this point. There is no world where she's not some kind of chosen plant at this point. It's like, her resume is pretty much from forklifter to the king of a country at this point.
Being forced to give up the keys to their beloved IP and hand it over to Obsidian. Obsidian just underwent a bunch of layoffs. They lost a couple of art directors. They pumped the brakes on Avowed.
Which is a good thing because Obsidian's art is garbage.
The sequel to Avowed and some of the other incubation projects they've been working on. And instead, now Obsidian is being tasked with making a new Fallout game. Whether that is a remake of New Vegas or if that is like a sequel to New Vegas or something totally new entirely, we don't know at this point. It seems like this decision literally made it to the studio days ago. Like, this is very, very fresh. But I think that
Yep.
this all indicates that
Luke has watched my video. These are my opinions, exactly.
Asha is taking Xbox and specifically Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Starfield, everything in a very different direction than it was headed just
Well, to be fair, she took Starfield and threw it out in the trash where it belongs.
a few weeks ago. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Todd's that thrilled about it. I don't think he's that thrilled about it. I think from the little I know about Todd in watching a lot of his interviews and making an 8-hour video on Starfield, I think this is like worst case scenario for him. Like he's losing control of his baby, and I think his teams are being overhauled beyond his decision making and what he likes, and I think he's losing control of it because the gravy train that allowed him to do whatever he wanted for 20 years at a time between major releases is seemingly coming to a stop, and they've got to overhaul it and change it. And
yes,
things are going to look different. Now, before you get too excited, I don't think that they are changing necessarily in the way that you might be hoping, because Asha's broader direction seems much more corporate, shocker, than you may hope to see. So I'm going to describe all of it, and we're going to put some tinfoil hats on, try to see the alignment of the stars and all of that. We're going to try to piece it together, and I'm going to make the case to you that the Elder Scrolls and Fallout projects that were going to be just a matter of weeks ago are totally different now. And I think that it may be for the best in some ways, but then it may end up being fundamentally very different than any of us were braced for, perhaps in a bad way. We'll get to it. But real quick, a thank you to our sponsor, Neverness to Everness. Neverness to Everness. They were operating at a ridiculous margin, like 3% is ungodly. It's just insane. So to put it very simply...
Wait. Luke said a percent. He must be wrong. I don't know what he's talking about, though.
Okay, so very, very long story short, Asha Sharma announced that they need to fire a bunch of people within Xbox because they were operating at a ridiculous margin, like 3% is ungodly. It's just insane. So to put it very simply, Xbox was making...
3% is not that bad for a retail company. 3% is relatively bad, well, relatively theoretically horrible for like a Facebook or whatnot. For a game company, though, we don't have public data available for it. So this guess is literally done by probably average industry standards for tech in general.
Like 3 cents for every dollar that actually came in. Most of their projects were hemorrhaging money, were losing money. Xbox specifically seems to have lost roughly 300 million.
This is not even true, because this doesn't theoretically account, by the way, for the fact that Microsoft subsidized Xbox. So those losses don't actually come into those calculations, funnily enough.
$1 by bringing Call of Duty to Game Pass. They were just hemorrhaging money, and it seems like Satya Nadella was sick and tired of subsidizing the business, so they were tasked with overhauling it. And as part of this review, she described how many things that they were doing and that they saw when they took over control of Xbox were just patently insane. She described how in some parts of the company, quote, work passes through as many as 14 layers of management. 14 layers of management. This is so patently...
Isn't this theoretically old news? Have we not heard this before, by the way, from ex-Bethesda employees?
Insane. It's kind of hard to describe without like a visual representation. Gadfly over on Twitter clipped this from my stream where I tried to demonstrate it visually with PlayStation 4 game cases, where we just laid out 14 game cases to show how patently insane it is to actually go through 14 layers of managers before you can come to a decision. It's ridiculous. It is outrageous. It explains the inefficiencies, and it also explains a lot of it, because if you start to understand that like each one of these managers, middle managers, is making progressively more than the people underneath them, you can start to see how you have insane bloat, ridiculous costs, and things are taking forever while costs are ballooning. She literally says, our platform teams are 40% larger than they were at the start of this generation, even as our player base and playtime have declined. Like literally, the boat is sinking, and Phil was looking around being like, let's get some more people on here. That's literally that's what's happening. Okay, it's insane. It is ridiculous. But that's how Xbox has been run for like a decade, is that it's just nonsensical, hodgepodge ridiculousness. And it was all being done under the belief that it.
Now, granted, this is actually wrong. Phil Spencer did do this, but that's not a bad solution. This is actually a very common solution in business when the stuff that you're doing is no longer profitable. You have two choices: either you bring in new stuff that hopefully fixes it, or you try to fix the already existing stuff. And a lot of you may think that fixing the already existing stuff is probably the easier problem. Think about it in this way. If fixing your current problems is so easy, how did you even arrive to the point that you are in now? If fixing your problems was so easy, then you should have theoretically never run into those problems in the first place. Which means fixing your problems is not easy because you have no idea what the problem even technically is. And in Xbox case, it's wokeness. A lot of these games were dead from day one because of literal wokeness. That's it. That's so simple.
Will just eventually work out. If we build out Game Pass and it's the best value and we've got great games on there, it will just make money. But that hasn't happened. Apparently right now they have about 30 million subscribers on Game Pass. According to the projections that Phil Spencer put forward when they were trying to do the FTC hearings to like acquire Activision Blizzard, he estimated that by 2026 they would have 77 million subs. Yeah, they missed that target. Tell you what, they thought they'd have 77 and they are stuck at 30. Bear in mind, a couple of years ago they had 35 million. Okay, they've lost some by raising prices, making it ridiculously expensive, making it no longer the best value in gaming, and by being just generally bad at their jobs. So as part of all of this, Asha announced that they were laying off a bunch of people. That announcement came with some studios sellings and spin-offs and stuff, like with Compulsion Games, Double Fine. It looks like Arcane Lyon, who are doing Blade, they're also going to be sold off. But there weren't a lot of specifics as to the 1,600 jobs that were being cut on that day. That news took another couple of days to trickle out and for us to understand. And over the course of this week, we've gotten a clearer picture of it, mainly thanks to Steven Totillo, who shared the following. I obtained layoff notices tallying Xbox cuts in Texas and California.
By the way, I just want to mention, all of these layoffs and all of these studios, I pretty much predicted. Elder Scrolls Online getting sacked. Fallout 76 I did predict, and it's gonna get sacked. I believe that that's coming, but as I stated previously, after Season 3, because there's no way that thing can be saved. It is in a worse state at this point than Elder Scrolls Online, and, you know, that's bad. That's really, really bad. And pretty much almost all of this, South of Midnight Studio, I forget the other ones, but yeah, we talked about all of these things getting shut down, getting sold off and whatnot. Obsidian was in it, but Obsidian is getting its last shot probably at this point with the Fallout game that they are making. That's it. If they fail that, I'm pretty sure they're gonna get like 80% slashed, which is a good thing.
In Texas, ZeniMax, specifically id Software, the guys behind Doom, they are eliminating, in conjunction with Bethesda Game Studios.
Oh, I should say it. Obsidian technically did get cuts, but the thing that I was talking about is way, 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 way bigger than just 25%.
Austin, who does Fallout 76, they're both eliminating a total combined of 158 roles, which is a lot, including 1 director of engine tech at id and 4 gameplay designers. So it's not all just engineers or like the receptionist. It's a lot of actual like game developers. Some of the people that are described in these layoffs are people that would probably fit under the definition of like middle manager, like their producers or their project managers, stuff like that. But a lot of the people that were laid off were also like actual game devs on the front line. Obsidian also announced that they were cutting 52 roles, including 2 art directors. This, though, seems to be specifically because they were ending work on the sequel to Avowed and moving forward into the Fallout project. So if you had people that were specifically specialized in the stuff they needed for the sequel to Avowed, like fantasy stuff, magic, special effects, or they were doing art direction specifically on fantasy stuff. You don't really need those people to work on a Fallout game. And so they laid off a bunch of people as they restructured in this direction. And again, some of those layoffs that were described were also at BGS Austin, the team behind Fallout 76. And there's even a report going around from Insider Gaming describing how, of course, BGS was hit with the recent layoffs that hit. In a recent report, several Bethesda employees voiced their concerns about the company's slate of games, with some suggesting that the Elder Scrolls 6 could face delays as contractors replace full-time employees. Unfortunately, it was also suggested that Fallout 76 could be impacted by the layoff in a rather drastic way. Specifically, they lost a lot of designers and people that worked on Fallout.
All of the content for Fallout 76 is already finished. They're just waiting for Season 3 to drop, and then they're dropping all of this. And again, after that, we're going to see what happens to it. I would say Fallout 76 gets
76 and are actively working on it. IGN obtained anonymous statements from multiple developers at BGS, including one who was extremely concerned about the future of Fallout 76. They said, quote, "It seems like the company wants to make up the loss in talent with outsourcers or contracted workers. I've heard from my colleagues that they've already been asked to train new contractors. I have no idea how they'll continue updating Fallout 76 without hiring an external studio." And other interviewed developers are suggesting that Fallout 76 may be getting set up for a sunsetting, and they may even be trying to like shut it down. This would be interesting.
Source, Quasar? Where's the source to your source, in fact, also? I don't have a source. I never have a source. I just keep guessing, and it keeps working magically out.
Because Asha has said multiple times that she wants to double
The fucking Kobe of not helicopters, but guessing, that's right.
down on franchises that are big, such as Fallout and Elder Scrolls, which makes sense. I mean, I think they should do that too. I think they should have been doing that years ago, but yeah, better late than never, I guess. But it would be surprising if they decided to shut down their live service offering in that franchise, unless they have something else planned. Unless they have another trick up their sleeve, perhaps. Well, maybe if we can see a pattern developing, maybe if they're also going to pivot away from other live service offerings that they have and try to reshift and recalibrate around new launches instead of just preserving games like Fallout 76 that launched in 2018, almost a decade ago, you know? Well, Stephen Tortilla also reported here with some more information. This is pulled off of a website from Maryland where you have to report like mass layoffs and resizing of companies, restructurings and stuff to give notices to those employees. And you can see here, ZeniMax Online Studios is reporting, I didn't know this, but apparently there is a city in Maryland called Cockeysville, which is awesome. I want to build a company there. But you can see that they are laying off an estimated 213 people. If you're not clear, ZeniMax Online Studios, they are the guys that were working on Elder Scrolls Online and Project Blackbird. Project Blackbird was going to be Microsoft's version of Destiny, apparently. But it may not ring a bell because just a year ago in July, actually July 3rd of 2025, I posted this stream clip, which you could watch on Luke Stevens Live, my second channel. You absolutely should be following and subscribe to that, by the way. But we posted...
Like the video right now. Takes less than a second, and it greatly helps out. Thank you for everyone who does. I truly appreciate it. Like it right now. Takes less than a second.
The stream clip describing how Microsoft had just laid off, again, almost a year ago exactly, a lot of people at ZeniMax Online Entertainment. Pretty much.
It's not going to end, by the way. Again, the big overlay here, which we're going to start hearing about roughly in, I would assume, a year and a half when everyone catches up to my predictions, is that most likely, let's be real, Xbox is not going to make Baldur's Gate 3 2 or 3 times in a row after all of these changes. And that's what they want. And after a year, 2 years, we're going to start hearing about the next round of massive layoffs because it just didn't work out.
Much the entire team behind Project Blackbird was laid off. A bunch of other people quit who were in positions of leadership.
Because people don't understand how bad this is. The fact that Microsoft was expecting 100 million Game Pass users and they got only 30? Bro, firing this many people is a drop in the bucket.
leadership above them. And this seemed to be the first nail in the coffin, but they have been hit with another round of layoffs, specifically the team that's working on Elder Scrolls Online. So we are seeing mass layoffs to the teams behind Fallout 76 and also to the team behind Elder Scrolls Online, which are both the live service cash cow variants of the big IP that Asha seemingly wants to double down on. I mean, maybe she is just delusional and thinks that you can just hire contractors to keep pumping out content to make those games successful.
I mean, you technically can.
Maybe, or
the last most successful Bethesda game that we had was literally the Oblivion remake made by non-Bethesda.
Or maybe there's another plan. You see, here we have to put on some tinfoil hats a little bit, okay? We're going to get into the realm of allegation and suspicion. I want to be very, very clear about this. None of what I'm about to go through is confirmed. It's all alleged based on coincidence and circumstance, okay? On the same page? Okay. You see, one thing you have to understand about Bethesda Game Studios specifically within the broader context of Xbox is that they are one of the biggest studio groups that is unionized pretty thoroughly too. Even their smaller branches like in Montreal or Dallas and Austin, like they're all unionized apparently, from my understanding at least. And that means that effectively all of the employees can come together, at least the employees that are part of the union, they can come together and collectively bargain. That means that they can negotiate higher pay. A lot of what this tends to look like at studios like this, again, tinfoil hats, bear with me, I'm painting the picture. A lot of what that tends to look like is higher pay for senior members of the company. The longer you've been there, the more you should get paid because you've given the company more of your life. If you've been there for 30 years, you should make more.
That is so fucking stupid, by the way.
Money in that role than somebody they just hired off the street. Kind of makes
literally like second generation Nepo baby tier shit.
Sense, right? Or other things like negotiating worker protections against like crunch culture. So you can only work 40 hours in the week. If you work more than that, then it flags a bunch of stuff for the union and the company gets in trouble, pays penalties and overtime, all that stuff. So it does a lot in addition to just generalized collective bargaining for higher pay and wages, benefits, packages, stuff like that. It does a lot to make the life of employees better, which is why devs want to work at unionized studios. The problem comes along with, how do I say this? Microsoft allegedly, hypothetically, in an alternative timeline in Roblox, doesn't love unions. They just don't.
I mean, no one does because unions are stupid.
There's been lots of allegations over the years that Microsoft will conveniently have a round of layoffs at a branch or a company or a team or wherever if there are rumblings of unionization, if they are actively union.
Oh, like every single company ever. Wow, that is truly interesting. Okay, no one cares about the unions. The big boss, Todd Howard himself. I'm not gonna give him a Bobby G original hard invert Kotick introduction. Todd doesn't deserve good things.
Same way you run more of an engineering pursuit. Like they're different things. And I feel like this is going to bite them in the freaking ass. I think this is a terrible idea. And I don't think, to like Todd's credit, I don't think this is a decision he would make. I don't think Todd would go and lay off somebody that he's known for 30 freaking years. Let's just be totally honest about that. I don't think so. I think if Todd were making the decision.
Why not? These people maybe once did something good, but now they're clearly out of touch. They're clearly incapable. They're clearly bad.
As to who's hired and who's fired and who keeps their job and who moves. I think he would keep the people he's known for 30 years. I think he would keep the people he can trust that he knows how to work with, and he'd keep those people that are OGs. This to me looks like it was a decision made by an outside consultancy firm that comes in.
I love the open to work thing. That is so fucking hilarious. LinkedIn is like one of the greatest cesspools of I mean NPC behavior that we have in humanity. Honestly, it's kind of worse than Reddit.
Puts everything in a spreadsheet, gives people a number, and then chooses who gets to keep their job or not based on the spreadsheet. That's what I think this is. I think this is above even like Todd's head. And I think that a lot of what's happening is beyond his control, frankly. At the time I'm recording this video, we don't know exact details as to how many people in Maryland specifically have been laid off. For example, in these layoff descriptions that Stephen Totillo reported, It does outline ZeniMax Media Incorporated in Rockville, Maryland, as part of these layoffs, with 166 people listed. The address given on that layoff document does go to the ZeniMax headquarters, where there are some people that work like with BGS that are apparently located there, because of course BGS is also located.
Okay, let's look at the cards. Let's look at how bad this is. This is in front, right? So these are the bosses.
To the ZeniMax headquarters, where there are some people that work like with BGS that are apparently.
Okay. Are these the bosses? Because usually the front of the entrance is supposed to be the bosses, or the closest parking spots are supposed to be the bosses. I mean, we see one fancy car. That granted, I'm not a car guy, okay? So, I mean, I kind of see like one thing that looks really fancy, and that's it.
Located there, because of course BGS is also located in Rockville, Maryland as well. But it's not clear, again, like who all is included in the layoffs, if that includes members of BGS or not. We just don't know. One person I saw reporting on this described how this is the corporate office that's in charge of BGS. So if they had to disclose layoffs at like BGS specifically, they would do it through the company that owns them, for sake of Maryland's reporting laws and regulations and stuff. But I don't know if that's true. This is the location that's been in like all of the videos and stuff for years and years, but it's my understanding that BGS specifically spun off into a separate office space, so they have a different address. But again, I'm not totally sure. It's possible that more people within BGS specifically were laid off. And
same, I have absolutely no idea about this stuff. I do know that depending on the place you are, on the location where your company is, they will do the layoff thing, because that's, by the way, kind of, I'm pretty sure that's mandatory throughout most of the world, that massive layoffs are public knowledge and they give you time. But whatever, depending on the country, region, or whatever, it can be, those layoffs need to be shown in the company that owns the subsidiary, or maybe at the subsidiary itself. So that doesn't honestly matter as long as they're just shown, because that's the law for each individual place.
we just don't know exact details of how many, but I think clearly and obviously some people within the team were laid off. It could be 20 or 30, or it could be a good chunk of these 166. We just don't know as of the time I'm recording this video. But what I think is clear is that by firing senior members of your team and relying more on contractors, and by relying more on novice members of the team, that probably doesn't help make Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 and these games in the way that Todd probably intended them to be made, right? And this is something even employees are currently echoing. Elder Scrolls 6 will suffer because of Xbox layoffs, Bethesda staff say, fearing delays, crunch, and generational talent being replaced by contractors, which I think...
Generational talent? Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Bethesda even has talent. I think Bethesda has anti-talent, but now they're fucking using a word like generational talent. No.
Is probably fair. These people spoke on the condition of anonymity, and this is something maybe this is common and I just don't know. I've never seen this before, but apparently the Bethesda Game Studios union made memorials. They made memorials within like the office. So in Dallas,
probably the most useful thing probably the most useful thing a union has ever honestly done.
They made a memorial, and then in Rockville, Maryland, they went and also made memorials for their coworkers who were fired and let go. I think it's sweet. I don't know. It feels weird to like mourn people who aren't dead, but I get it. I don't know how to feel about it though. I'm just gonna be real. Like,
I don't get it. This is like the most fucking crazy, insane thing honestly ever. These people, well, like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? This is a job. Jobs matter, yes. They make you money, and then you can not have enough of it to buy food, sure. But I mean, doing something like this is just absolutely insane. These people are completely out of their mind.
It's weird to like mourn people who aren't dead, but I get it. Like Microsoft didn't do something worse, right? I want to make sure. But anyway, as you can see, IGN describes how Bethesda game studio locations have removed more than 50 employees so far that have been counted, including, quote, key high-performing people in the trenches building the company's long-awaited Skyrim successor. This, in turn, they say, has shattered morale, raising the risk of future development crunch and increased likelihood that the game's already far-off completion date will be delayed. They're already describing...
Oh, by the way, yes. I never have mentioned this, but I fully believe Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be delayed like 1 or 2 times.
How this could lead to a delay. And I just want to remind everybody that in March, Todd Howard said Elder Scrolls 6 was still a long way off when speaking to IGN. And beyond that,
if you haven't seen the video that I made about Elder Scrolls 6 not even being in production, by the way, I would suggest you watch it, because there is... when you look at the timeline of everything Bethesda have said, everything that they have actually done, it just doesn't add up. It just does not add up that Elder Scrolls 6 would even be finished. And that's because they dropped Starfield. Well, not finished, but not even started. And that's because they dropped Starfield on the 1.5 engine.
Jason Schreier said in a Bloomberg Live Q&A thing that he did that as of a couple of days ago, Bethesda Game Studios' next Elder Scrolls game was at least 2 or more years away, putting it 2028 or 2029. So a delay because of these firings and restructurings could push the game into like 2030 or 2031, which is wild. Now, before we get into like the main question of the video, let's just address the elephant in the room. Bethesda's output has been pretty abysmal for a while. As I said earlier, they broke Fallout 4
for literally decades
with the anniversary update that just like straight up broke VATs, and it took them 19 months to fix it. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. That should be unacceptable. And so a lot...
this is not even half of it. Honestly, I should probably make a separate video about how incompetent Bethesda is, because there is a lot. Here's the short version of it. They broke Fallout, didn't fix it for more than a year. Then they broke Fallout again. Their massive patch notes for Starfield were literally 5 bug fixes. And those things were like 3 months apart when they did it. And then they patted themselves on the back. Look at us, we did so much. 5 bug fixes, 3 were not fixed, 2 broke again. Then, currently, by the way, since no one plays 76, let me tell you about the 76 situation. It is at the lowest amount of players it has ever had, because 76 has effectively almost reverted to the same level of bugginess as it was at launch. Not as bad, nearly. You can't spawn in blimps and whatnot, but it is effectively almost the same level of bugginess as it was on launch. Because every update that Bethesda pushes out, they literally just break something. And whenever they say that they fix something, they probably also break something again, and don't fix things properly. Bethesda has needed months, and I'm still pretty sure there's still bugs, to fix the Skyrim microtransaction shop and Fallout microtransaction shop, aka the mod shop. They literally, that's their big money maker, and they literally could not fix that for multiple months. I have never seen a company so absolutely out of their mind, incapable and talentless, that they literally cannot fix their microtransaction shop. I have seen literal cash grabs that don't even make proper games at least make the cash shop functional, but Bethesda couldn't even manage to do that. Again, this is the short version, and I have still ammo, boys. But no, let's end it with this. Let us end it with this. It's the fact that Skyrim also, with their newest re-release of the Anniversary Edition or whatever it was, introduced bugs that have not existed in the game for more than 10 plus years. Yes. Skyrim got reverted in quality, bug-wise, back to something like 10-15 years ago, because Bethesda found a way to reintroduce previously thought no longer possible bugs. with their updates and whatnot. That's how bad we're talking about. Bethesda cannot be trusted to code even a single thing, honestly, at this point. And that's not a joke. That's honestly also not even an over exaggeration. If anything, I'm currently being kind of lenient about how bad the situation is. So yeah, it's Bethesda does not have a single shred of talent. So whatever happens, I mean, it's not gonna get worse. Granted, it's also not gonna get better. In any case, I feel that that's it. And Todd lost control. I'm happy about that. Anyway, that was Luke Stephenson out of 10. Bye.